And now the beginning of the end of the Harris Waltz campaign. Good morning, Kuhner country. Okay, my friends, today is the day, I'm telling you, you can hold me to it, that you will start to see the relentless downward march of Kamala's poll numbers. And the reason why is because she is going to unveil her economic plan, apparently in a major speech in Raleigh, North Carolina later today. They've already teased the speech, what's going to be in the speech. Her aides have leaked key aspects of her economic platform, and it is going to be an absolute disaster. Absolute disaster. And at the heart of it, she's going to push, I'm not making this up, you're going to hear it for yourself later today, Soviet-style price controls. Literally, a Soviet-style, centrally administered and mandated price controls on food. So what they're going to do is they're going to put wage and price controls, saying that that's the way to bring down costs of groceries, of food, of people wanting to eat out. And they're going to they're going to empower the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC, to go after grocery stores, all grocery stores, and corporations that make or sell food. Now, for so-called quote-unquote price gouging. Now, I'm going to get into this in greater detail later in the show, but it's going to be an absolute disaster. Because if you know anything about economics, and you can see now, not only is this woman a complete economic illiterate, but this is communism 101. This is what they had in communist regimes. This is what they have in communist regimes. You have rent control. What does it lead to? Shortages in housing. You have food control or price control on food. What do you think is going to happen? You're going to have food shortages. This woman is insane. She's literally insane. Grocery stores. You can look this up. Don't take my word for it. Grocery stores have a very low profit margin. It is very small, the amount of profit that grocery stores owners have. So the idea that somehow they're gouging people, that they're just raising prices and have for the last couple of years for the hell of it to make more money, these blood-sucking capitalists, is a complete and utter lie. The reason why we have huge inflation, whether it's gas, whether it's rent, whether it's housing, whether it's food, whether it's groceries, is because of the policies of the Harris-Biden regime. And in particular, the trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars in massive deficit spending that led to massive borrowing, which led to massive printing of money. That's why we have everything costing so much. Instead, so in other words, the government causes inflation, i.e. Harris and Biden, they cause it, and then they try to blame businesses and impose price controls, which is going to lead to them either going bankrupt, because if they can't make money, who's going to work for free? Who's going to want to make a product for free? If they can't make any money, and by the way, as I said, the profit margins are already extremely small, then why would a grocery store owner stay in business? Why would somebody, selling pork or selling bacon or, these meat processing plants, why would they stay open? It's the same thing with rent control. That's why every time rent control has been tried, it's been by the way, they also want nationwide rent control. So they're going to be pushing for nationwide rent control, nationwide price controls on food. Well, what do you think is going to happen? If I can only say rent an apartment for $300, let me just arbitrarily make up a figure. So say I have an apartment building and all I can charge is $300 per apartment. It's not profitable for me to make the home, to build the home, to buy the home, to invest in this apartment complex. So what happens is nobody ends up buying. Nobody ends up creating homes or apartments. Why? Because there's no profit in it. There used to be an old saying among economists. People used to understand this. The most destructive way to destroy homes and apartment buildings outside of carpet bombing is rent control. Outside of actual war, where you just bomb things to oblivion, to smithereens, the way to really destroy housing and the ability of people to find apartments is to impose rent control. Well, think about doing this now on food. We're going to end up having food shortages. Why would farmers grow food if they're not going to make any money? Why are grocery stores going to stay open if they can't make any money? This is an insane policy. Insane on every single level. It is dangerous. It is reckless. Now, they think this is a winner. They think they can bamboozle the Bills in Sudbury, to be frank, and the low information voters out there. They're thinking, yeah, just say you can't raise your prices anymore. That's how you do it. Yeah. And they think it's going to work. I'm telling you, it's not. Most Americans understand that if you put on these wage and price controls, and we've tried them in the United States, they've been a disaster every single time. But now they want to do it on a national, federal level. This is going to be the heart and soul of her plan today. It is going to be a disaster, an absolute disaster. But on top of all of this, and I'm going to return to this, I promise, now they're openly calling for violence. They're now openly inciting violence. Yesterday, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris had their first joint appearance. It was a rally in Maryland, teasing a little bit what she was going to say tomorrow. Biden saying that she definitely believes in Bidenomics, that she's going to double and triple down on Bidenomics today. And then he told the audience, with Kamala by his side, the audience, all these Democrats and moonbats, and he told them what they wanted to hear. It's time to get physical. Listen now to Biden. Roll cut 10, Mike.
And get this, you may have heard about the MAGA Republican Project 2025 plan. They want to repeal Medicare's power to negotiate drug prices. Let Big Pharma back to charge them whatever they want. Let me tell you what our Project 2025 is. Beat the hell out of them.
This guy's an SOB. I'm telling you, this guy's a son of a you-know-what. This guy is one nasty, vicious, demagogic SOB. What are we now? 3 weeks away from when Trump was assassinated? Was it, 3 weeks ago? A bullet missed his ear, missed his head, forgive me, and pierced his ear, missed his head by a millimeter? Precisely because of this kind of inflammatory, reckless, insightful rhetoric? This is naked incitement against Trump and against Trump's supporters. By the way, for the 500th time, you want to talk about misinformation, disinformation, the lies, straight up lies coming from the Democrats. Trump has completely disavowed Project 2025. In fact, the author of Project 2025 got fired from the Heritage Foundation because Trump was saying, I don't know what this guy is doing, trying to claim credit that he has influence over me or my agenda or my team when he doesn't. So not only has he completely disavowed Project 2025, the guy that actually wrote the 900-page manual lost his job. He's gone. It doesn't matter. It's like when Joe Biden said, Trump now has normalized the KKK. Now they can just take their hoods off. All of those people that support him, you, me, all of us, we're all KKK. Except the hoods now have just come off. That's what he said on Sunday in an interview with Robert Costa on CBS News. And now, after we dodged, my God, social chaos, maybe even a civil war if Trump had been killed, you're back to it again? But now you're not even just calling him Hitler or a threat to democracy or a dictator. It's going to be a dictator. No, now it's we're going to beat him up. Beat him up. Beat him up. Beat his people up. Go out there and beat the hell out of them. And they're calling Trump the Hitler? Seriously. They're saying we're the threats to democracy? This is inflammatory. This is yelling fire in a crowded theater. This is the mother of all. What dog whistle? This is a bullhorn telling liberals and moonbats it's open season on Trump. It's open season on MAGA. It's open season on his supporters. Go get him. 6:18 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Larry messaged me on Messenger. Jeff, the 1970s USSR cult, the old Soviet Union. They want their policies back. Well, we're going to start getting some of them today, if what the media is reporting is true. I want to play the Biden cut. I want to play it one more time. And I want to get your reaction. And then there's another huge story I want to get to as well. So there's a lot happening over the last 12 hours. But the theme is, I'm telling you, this is now the beginning of the end. That they've jumped the shark. There's no question now. Whatever bounce she's gotten off in the polls, the honeymoon phase, all of the adoration and support that she's been getting in the media, this is now, it doesn't matter. Because starting from this point forward, if the Republicans are smart, if the Trump team seizes now on these developments, her numbers are going to start to relentlessly start going down. Because this is pure thuggery, pure racism. You'll know what I mean when I talk about it very soon. Pure thuggery and pure Soviet-style communism. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So this is them at Maryland yesterday. Kamala and Biden together on the stage. She's praising him. He's praising her. Both of them are praising Bidenomics. Both of them are praising everything that they passed together over the last 3.5 years. So she's taken full ownership of the destructive, insane policies that have brought our country now to its knees, to our knees. Now listen to Biden. If this is not open incitement to political violence, honestly, I don't know what is. Roll cut 10 one more time, Mike.
And get this. You may have heard about the MAGA Republican Project 2025 plan. They want to repeal Medicare's power to negotiate drug prices. Let Big Pharma back to charge them whatever they want. Let me tell you what our Project 2025 is. Beat the hell out of them.
Now, what he says afterwards, we have the shorter cut. He says, I mean it. On top, he goes, no, I mean it. I really mean it. I mean it. Now, I'm telling you, there's going to be another assassination attempt on Trump. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. Because this is what you're getting now. This, as I said, this is pure incitement. This is wink, wink. Go after him, go after his people, intimidate them, threaten them, attack them, bully them, do what you've got to do. Because the dictator is marching to Washington, D.C. And as I said to liberals, what is it? One assassination attempt wasn't enough? And you have to continue now with this incendiary, inflammatory, utterly reckless, irresponsible demagoguery, this kind of really insightful rhetoric. So, no, it's not, no, there wasn't enough. You want to do it again? That he would go down this road, to me, tells you everything you need to know. Look, this guy has been the worst president we've ever had. And she has been the worst vice president we've ever had. And leave everything else off the table for a second. Leave aside the runaway inflation. Leave aside the massive open border. Leave aside that over 10 million illegals have poured into our country. Leave aside the high interest rates. Leave aside the decimation of the middle and working class. Let all of that go. Just let it all go. Let Afghanistan go. Let Russia, Ukraine go. Let the war in the Middle East go. Just let all of that go. No one has done more to divide this country, to polarize this country, to turn American against American, to foster sheer political, ideological hatred than Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. How many times now has he made references that somebody's got to take Trump out? How many times has he said somebody needs to put a bullseye on him and finish him, take him out? How many times has he demonized and slandered Trump's supporters again and again and again and again? And now it's no accident. Trump's supporters are being viciously attacked around the country. Many are losing their jobs simply for being Trump supporters. They're being censored. They're being canceled. They're being assaulted. They're being shot. This is why. Because of this animal and his sidekick, Kamala Harris. And they're going on about Trump. The media's going on about Trump's rhetoric because he makes fun of Kamala's name or throws a few insults at Tim Walz. And they're like, this is so unpresidential. Oh my God, this is nasty. This is vicious. Oh, really? But no, calling him Hitler, calling him an existential threat to democracy, calling him a dictator, calling on your supporters. You know what our plan is? We're going to go out there. Yeah, why don't you just hand out 2x4s, really, or baseball bats? Here you go. Here you go. Like in England. Why don't you do it like in England now? Hand out knives and baseball bats and 2x4s and say, yeah, go get them. Yeah, go get. See a MAGA, smash a MAGA. See a MAGA, kill a MAGA. We just had an assassination attempt. My God. 3 weeks ago. Had the bullet veered 1 centimeter to the right, Donald Trump's brains would be splattered everywhere on that stage in Butler, Pennsylvania. Can you imagine what the reaction would have been? The social chaos, the upheaval, the anger, the explosion. And they haven't missed a beat. It barely took them 48 hours, and they're right back to Hitler, dictator, threat to democracy. Now it's beat that. Go get them. Go get them. Go get them. Get those KKK scumbags. Look, look, if no one else has the guts to say it, I'm going to say it. Maybe it's better we don't live together anymore. I'm being serious. Maybe it's time that we all go our separate ways, because honestly, we are now becoming 2 nations, 2 peoples, 2 countries. If you hate us that much, then maybe we should all separate. More next. 6:33 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, let me ask you. It is the Kuhner Country poll question of the day, sponsored by Mario's. Mario's Quality Roofing, Siding, and Windows. Is Joe Biden inciting political violence? I've played the clip now several times. Kamala Harris cheering him on right by his side. And he says, yeah, the Republicans have their Project 2025. We've got ours. Kick the hell out of them. And I mean it. So, is Biden now inciting violence? I think there's no question. I think he's been doing it now for years. That's what I believe led and culminated to what happened to Trump, the assassination attempt several weeks ago on that field in Butler, Pennsylvania. But that's me. I want to hear from you. You can vote on our webpage, wrko.com/Kuhner, Kuhn as in national ER, wrko.com/Kuhner, Kuhner. You can also vote via X, very active on X. My handle there, at the Kuhner Report, all one word, Kuhn as in national ER. So, A, yes, he is inciting violence. B, no. I'm an A, yes, all the way. Do you agree? Disagree? Dave in Boston. Thanks for holding, Dave, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff.
Hi, Dave.
How are you? Look, well, you can't blame Sniffy Biden too much because he's got dementia. He was probably sundowning, and that's what they do. They get angry. So, anybody who knows me, Jeff, knows I've been saying once the impeachments didn't work, once the indictments didn't work, they had no choice but to give an assassination attempt. And it's going to happen again. They cannot, without question, allow Trump to get back in the White House.
Dave, I completely agree with you. And I want to run a story by you. I normally don't do this. I don't normally, explain a story while someone's on the line. But because you have such guts and courage in calling this show and saying what so many people are thinking but afraid to say, I want to pay you that honor. And it goes directly to your point. So this story was first written, it was broken by Susan Crabtree of Real Clear Politics. So, and it's been now confirmed by the Secret Service. So this happened. Remember Trump visited North Carolina a couple days ago and gave a big speech there? Well, as his motorcade was approaching, the top Secret Service agent, they call the site agent, the one that's responsible for securing the whole area, the whole site of where the president is going to speak, did a final sweep of where Trump was going to be speaking. And he goes into a room, and listen to this, Dave. He finds a female Secret Service agent breastfeeding her baby. This is 5 minutes before Trump's motorcade arrives. And she's breastfeeding her child. And she's breastfeeding her child in the emergency room. This is like the post, the area where if there is an assassination attempt or if they see someone that's very suspicious, everybody goes to that room to make a decision what to do. So she wasn't A, allowed to be there. B, she abandoned her post. She wasn't allowed to abandon her post. She was not given permission to leave her post. She was not given permission to breastfeed her baby. It's illegal. And not only did she have, I kid you not, her baby that she was breastfeeding and she, and not staying at her post, she brought two of her other kids with her. And they were in that emergency security room. All of them, by the way, went around the checkpoint. So no one else knew this was going on. Now, I'm looking at this. This to me is an incredible story on so many levels. The sheer lack of professionalism now in the Secret Service. Now they're breastfeeding on the job. We just had an assassination attempt 3 weeks ago, as you pointed out, Dave. And she abandons her post. What if somebody was trying to kill the president? She's not there. Why is she not at her post? Because she's in the emergency room, the security room, literally having a baby on her nipple. And breastfeeding her baby. And none of this is known to any other Secret Service agents because she was never given permission to do so. Now, I look at this and I'm saying, Dave, it's either door one or door two. Either they've hired such colossally incompetent people in the name of diversity, equity, inclusion, DEI, that they're going to get the president killed, or two, they just deliberately want to get him killed. In other words, use any excuse to not do your job and leave holes in the security perimeter, and eventually someone's going to get him. Am I wrong, Dave?
You're not wrong at all, but you didn't realize it was Bring Your Child to Work Day for the Secret Service that day. You know what, Jeff? I'll leave you with this one point. The biggest threat to this country is not Iran. It's not North Korea. It's not Russia. It's not even China. It's the media. The media in this country is the biggest threat to its existence.
Amen. Amen. Dave, thank you very, very much for that call. To me, and by the way, they don't want to fire her. They won't release her name because they say this is a personal delivery. Secret Service came out and said, well, yeah, it's true, but this is a personal matter. Like, what do you mean it's a personal matter? Well, they're claiming, well, she was breastfeeding her baby. No, it's a professional matter. She did it on the job. What are you talking to me about? A, we should know her name. B, she should be fired on the spot. Forget the breastfeeding. She left her post without notifying anybody, without anyone's permission. I mean, this is Secret Service 101. Are you protecting the president or are you not protecting the president, for God's sake? Now, I'm telling you, I don't care now. Door one, door two, it doesn't matter. They're going to get him killed. I'm sorry to say this, but there's going to be another assassination attempt. Either because they're so inept and so incompetent. I mean, look at this. I'd be embarrassed. Really. So let me get this straight. You're a Secret Service agent. You're carrying your baby with you to work. You got your other two kids at work. And then you go off. This is the location where if there is shots fired or they see someone with a gun or whatever, that's where everybody goes to decide what to do with a plan of action. And you smuggle your baby in there. And the president, it's not even like the guy is speaking and there's Secret Service agents all around him. This is 5 minutes before the motorcade arrived. So if someone's trying to get into the building, now's the time they're going to try to get in to kill him, to assassinate him. And you're breastfeeding? Ay, ay, ay. What's the matter? No daycare? No, you can't? No? Can't get a nanny? No? I mean, the Secret Service has become a joke. This is Biden's Secret Service. It's an absolute joke. 617-266-6868 is the number. Between Biden calling for violence, Kamala calling for violence, and the Secret Service, they're going to get him killed. You know, they tried the first time and they missed. He may not be so lucky the second time. Your reaction, your calls, next. 649 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. All right, let me throw this very, very quick log on the fire. Do you think this female Secret Service agent who was caught by the site agent, basically the top agent, responsible for security in North Carolina 2 days ago when Trump delivered his speech, that she left her post without permission, without even telling anyone, to go breastfeed her child? Should she be fired? I mean, I'm just curious. Should she lose her job? Because apparently now no one in this administration, in this regime, nobody gets fired for anything. Anything. 617-266-6868 is the number. You can also text us 70470, 70470, 781. Jeff, was this agent's name Pete Buttigieg? No, I think it's the husband that does the breastfeeding in that relationship. I think. 617-266-6868. Ben in the great state of Texas. Thanks for holding, Ben, and welcome.
Good morning.
Hi,
I don't want, good morning. I just want to say, I think you're falling for a trap. And the reason being is that in playing devil's advocate here, just thinking of the liberal mindset, it's like you're falling for a trap and saying that, oh, how dare you demand a woman's, to be fired? A mother, no less, with her children. What do you expect her to do? You are heartless. Trump is heartless. And that's the trap that I'm thinking you're falling for. Because, I agree with you 100%. She shouldn't be in that position, especially with her children. Come on. What if there was another assassination attempt? She is putting her children in danger. That's somebody that shouldn't even be there. I agree. But a liberal loon is not going to see it that way. They're just going to see, oh, Trump hates women, and that's how they're going to angle this into an attack on women to try to get the woman's vote against Trump. What do you think?
Well, Ben, number one, you can't reason. You said like these liberal loons. Nothing you say will convince them. You said it yourself. They're loons. They're lunatics. So how do you reason with a lunatic? You can't. You can't reason with a Ben in North Andover or a Chris in Gloucester or a Bill in Sudbury. I've tried it. You see it. That's why I have them come on the air. You just see how utterly irrational and frankly stupid they are. So there's a certain point where you just can't appease stupid people. And I fear this is where we're heading. If you notice what's happening in our society is intelligent people are being censored. Intelligent people are being silenced in order to appease stupid people. And so it's what many people have called idiocracy. We're being essentially run by idiots. So if they want to be offended at this, I don't care. It's their problem. It's not my problem. She's hired to do a job to protect the president or in this case, the former president of the United States. She's paid extremely well. I know what Secret Service agents make. I know what kind of gold-plated benefits they have. It is a very lucrative, sought-after job. Now, no one asked her to have children. I love children. I have 2 of my own. If I could have had more, I would have had more. My big regret, I should have adopted more kids. I'm being to be honest with you. But, Grace and I don't bring my kids to work. Grace doesn't bring the kids to work. You got to be a professional, especially if you're protecting the president of the United States. There's daycares, there's family, there's nannies, there's a million ways to take care of your kids. You're not allowed to bring children to work, especially if you're the Secret Service. This is like basic requirements. And it's not Trump that's going to get her fired. Trump has said nothing on this. It's up to the Secret Service to fire her. Now, to me, that she hasn't been fired and that they're circling the wagons around her, to me, tells me how politicized the Secret Service has become, and to be honest, how downgraded and degraded it's become. I mean, this used to be one of the most elite law enforcement agencies in the world. Secret Service used to be the best of the best. Now, here, I mean, I don't want to get off topic, Ben. I promise I'll come back to you. I don't know if you saw the recent photos now that have been released. You saw pictures of Thomas Crooks, the shooter, walking around 13 minutes before Trump spoke in Butler, outside the building where he shot Trump from, with a gun. You can see the pictures. He's a guy, there he is, la-da-da, la-da-da. He's got a gun. He's got an AR-15. There he is, la-da-da, la-da-da. And he's walking, and he's looking around, and he's scoping, and nobody saw him. Nobody said anything. This is the Secret Service? Ay, ay, ay. Ay, ay, ay. Now we find out another scandal? 5 minutes before his motorcade arrives, she abandons her post. She had no permission to leave. She didn't give anybody a warning. Nobody knew. And she goes to the control room, which is the most important room. And the site manager couldn't believe it. Site manager was shocked. He's doing the final sweep. Okay, make sure this door is locked. This area is secured. This area is secure. Hold on. Where is she? She's not there. Where is she? She's not there. Oh my God, we got a gap in security. Where? Goes into the control room. There she is. The baby, and she's breastfeeding the baby. And she's got 2 other kids with her. Couldn't believe it. All his years, everybody's in the Secret Service. Like in all our years, we've never heard of this. Now, if this offends liberals, if this offends feminists, if this offends Democrats, well, what are we going to have now? Soldiers in the field, running in battle, breastfeeding their kids? Like seriously. Like, what are we going to have? Doctors now? Female doctors in this performing surgery? But no, I'm sorry. Oh, his heart's wide open. It's heart surgery. No, hold on. I got to breastfeed my baby now. I mean, women can do the job of men, but you got to do the job. She's not doing the job. So I don't think it's asking for too much. No. Don't bring your child to work. It's illegal, by the way. Secret Service has clear guidelines on this. You never bring your child to work. Why? Because you're there to protect the president, and you're there to protect everybody else at the event. We forget this now already. Yes, Trump almost died that day. But one person died. A fireman. A 50-year-old fireman. A family man. He took a bullet for his family. He's dead. He's dead. 2 others are being critically wounded. And we're lucky many more didn't die that day. So if you allow a shooter into a packed event, you're not just putting the president's life in jeopardy. You're putting everyone else's life in jeopardy. And this woman, why? Because she's breastfeeding her baby? Are you serious? Have the standards at the Secret Service fallen that low? She should have been fired, Ben, I'm telling you, on the spot. On the spot. I'm telling you, that's what I would have done. Here, forget Secret Service. When I was helping to run the newsroom at the Washington Times, when I was the assistant national editor, and I was overseeing the reporters with the White House and congressional coverage, these are just journalists. I'm not talking, it's not life and death. If a reporter brought their baby to work and they're breastfeeding the baby instead of doing their job, you're gone. Bye. You're fired. Bye. A male reporter brings his children to work and is basically they're sitting beside him and he's babysitting them. Hey, we're not running a daycare here, man. This is a newsroom. Out. You're fired. They wouldn't even have done it. No self-respecting professional would have done it. Now I'm talking about reporters and journalists. Forget law enforcement. Forget the Secret Service. So if liberals are saying, oh, Trump, the sexist pig, A, it's the Secret Service that decides, not Trump. And B, then I'm sorry. Then this woman does not belong in the workplace. I'm sorry. Either you're a professional or you're not a professional. Final word to you, Ben in Texas.
Okay, getting to the assassination attempt, I believe it wasn't assassination attempt. It was a failed assassination attempt. It was a failed execution attempt because seems like Trump was led to his execution and it failed. Now, going to the woman that was breastfeeding, I've noticed about liberals, the difference between liberals and conservatives. Liberals think with their heart. Conservatives think with their brains. Now, yes, what you're saying is true. She shouldn't be there. I agree with you 100%. But what about the science? You got to think about the science. How are those babies going to eat if not by the bosom or the breast of their mother? I mean, it's ridiculous. I know I'm just being sarcastic here.
No, I understand. No, Ben, you're saying, look, this is how liberals think, and you're showing just how utterly irrational they are. I hear you. But look, I mean, you can take leave of absence. People have leave of absence. They have paid leave when they have a child. I don't know. I wasn't breastfed. I mean, my mother, I had, the milk bottle. My mother, for whatever reason, wasn't into breastfeeding, and I had milk bottle. I turned out okay. I know many people weren't breastfed. They had a milk bottle. It's okay. Frankly, I had a nanny. I had someone take. My mother had to work. She had me, and a month later? My mother told me 4 weeks later she was back on the job. This was in 1969. And so there was a French-Canadian woman that was one of our neighbors, and my parents paid her to take care of me. So, and I was basically raised by, I don't know what you call that, a nanny? I don't know what you call that, but, by someone. And my mother worked. She only stopped working after she had my sister 5 years later. So my point is, I was fed by a bottle. My mother went to work 4 weeks after I was born. I had someone else basically take care of me. If you want to call it a private daycare or whatever you want to call it. I turned out okay. I know many people, they turned out okay. It's not the end of the world. So, look, if women want to be treated as professionals and they want to be treated as equal to men, well, I'm sorry, you got to behave professionally on the workforce. And you're right, liberals don't think with their brains. And that's exactly the problem, Ben. Ben, thank you very, very much for that call. I appreciate it. 617-266-6868 is the number. Kay in Rockland. Thanks for holding, Kay, and welcome.
Thanks for taking my call.
My pleasure, Kay.
I'm an independent, and I take in both sides. I think about all opportunities and the things that we have achieved. We've got FMLA. We have all kinds of other things to take a day off. We have breastfeeding pumps, which is what she should have used because she was on the clock. You put it in the freezer. Your husband or your domestic partner can feed your baby. She should definitely be fired. This is the reasons why we have all these things available to us. The far left doesn't understand it, and they won't. They'll come up with some more things. But to leave her post, and everybody else knew around her that she was doing this, they should be fired also, as well as a man who leaves their post to be in the delivery room and then comes back after the baby's born. This isn't a male or female gender thing. This is something that everybody should be fired for when they leave their job and don't do the job.
Oh, you're dead on. Look, Kay, please don't get me wrong. I'm not comparing playing cards or, whatever to feeding a baby. Of course, feeding a baby is much more important. There's no question. But what if I said to you, hey, Secret Service agent or a couple of them left their post and they went to the command center, which is the most important control room, the most important command center, and they're playing cards. You say, well, fire them. I mean, it's such blatantly unprofessional behavior. Why? Because you abandoned your post. Now, I understand she's a mother. I understand it's a poor baby. I don't want the baby to go hungry either. But you're right. There are a million ways to take care of your child. And again, Kay, look, we're not talking about someone who's making $20,000 a year scraping to get by and, can't make ends meet. Secret Service agents make a really good salary. They make more than 99% of this audience, I guarantee you. They earn well. They have phenomenal benefits. I mean, there's a lot of benefits they have to, send the kid to daycare, let the kid have a nanny. I mean, I could go on and on and on. No, this woman is unprofessional. That's all. I mean, that's what this is. You have unprofessional Secret Service agents. She's one of them. What I can't believe, Kay, and I want to get your take on this, that you would do this 3 weeks after Trump was almost killed? You would think, well, okay, now we're really going to be on our best behavior. Think about it. No, this man that's going to give a speech now in North Carolina, who's 5 minutes away, his motorcade is 5 minutes away. No, we're going to cover every exit, every angle, every location. Everybody is going to be, they're bringing their A game. And instead, this shows you the culture at the Secret Service. Either it's really sloppy, and really it's amateur hour. They've so lowered standards that basically now anybody can be a Secret Service agent, or they don't care if he gets shot. Kay, am I wrong?
Wrong. I think you have to look into the background of the individual, but also the way the FBI is run today is not like it was years ago. And they're more on the left side. They don't care what. And their agenda is, well, we're gonna take the job. We're gonna be there, but we're gonna leave. Oops. And who allows children into something of this to come along with her? I don't know how she got the okay to even have the baby there. Someone sneak the baby in or something? I mean, it's totally
wrong. You're right. No, okay. No, that's what came out. You're completely right. She snuck the baby in, and not only that, she had 2 other children, and she snuck them in as well. She didn't even go through, you have to go through security checkpoints. I don't know how she did it. This is the other thing that's upsetting everybody at the Secret Service. She smuggled her 3 kids in, going around the checkpoints. I mean, this is breach upon breach upon breach. And as people are messaging me and texting me, they go, Jeff, Secret Service doesn't have maternity leave? Yeah, of course they have maternity leave. I mean, and Kay, my only point is this. You're right. In any other time, in any other age, doesn't matter, male, female, black, white, young, old, gay, straight, it doesn't matter. You're this blatantly unprofessional, you're gone. You're gone. You're fired on the spot. On the spot. Okay, forget breastfeeding a baby. If I brought my kids to work, I know there's Bring Your Kids to Work Day. Outside of Bring Your Kids to Work Day, pardon me? Oh, I know. Thanks, Sandy. Yeah, she said they're good kids. I like your kids. Oh, thank you, Sandy. But if I brought my kids to work and I'm turning the studio into a daycare center, the management would say rightly, hey, Kuhner, listen, man, I don't know what's going on between you and your wife. I don't know what kind of financial problems you have at home, but we're not a daycare, man. This is not kindergarten. Okay? Like, this is a professional work environment. So, no, you can't just bring your kid to work. No. Absolutely not. So, and I'm not guarding the President of the United States. I'm not protecting people's lives. I'm just flapping my mouth on the radio. Final word to UK.
She should be charged with child endangerment then, because her job to protect the potential President of the United States, future potential president, anyway, child endangerment because the reasons why she's there is because it could be another sniper attempt. That's putting her kids in danger.
That's an excellent point. That's an excellent point. Kay, thank you so much for that call. I really appreciate it. And Sandy just made a very good point in my ear. I know they've now got an acting Secret Service director, but she said, well, look at the person, who was the head of the Secret Service until she finally had to resign. I mean, just look at the woman that was leading it and look at her philosophy. She was DEI all the way, baby. Mark in Haverhill. Thanks for holding, Mark, and welcome.
Jeff?
Hi, Mark. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, I need about a minute and a half. So real quick first, because honestly, every time I get on the phone with you and I hear other people talking, someone brings up something. Actually, I think that Ben brought up a very germane point today we need to talk about. But here, give me 30 seconds for this. You're the same age as me. So here's what I think about where Waltz is heading. Waltz? You know who Waltz is, right?
You talking about Tampon Tim?
Yeah, okay, here we go. So here's a clip from about, 30 years ago. Here we go. Ready?
And Arizona, and North Dakota, and New Mexico. We're going to California, and Texas, and New York. We're going to South Dakota, and Oregon, and Washington.
Yeah, that was Howard Dean. Mark, that was Howard Dean. That was in 2004. I think we lost Mark there. But no, that wasn't Waltz. That was Howard Dean, and he melted down when he lost the Iowa caucuses. Remember that? He freaked out, and then he started, we're going here, we're going to Iowa, we're going to New Hampshire, and then we're going to South Carolina, and then we're going to North Dakota, South Dakota. Ah! Oh, Waltz did the same thing just the other day? Yeah, but anyway, so he's a whack job. I'm going to get to him also as well later. There's a huge scandal now involving him. Another one. Not the stolen valor one. Not the fact that he let Minneapolis burn during the Black Lives Matter riots in the summer of 2020. There's even another scandal now engulfing him. I swear, you can't make this stuff up. That's why I go back to my original point of my opening monologue. Today is the day, in fact, yesterday, to be technical, is when you're going to start to see her poll numbers begin to drop. Commie Kamala and Tampon Tim. You are going to see now their numbers consistently start to go down and down and down and down. They've reached their high point. And now comes the fall. 617-266-6868 is the number. Don't touch that dial. 718 on the break, WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, liberalism's worst nightmare. 617-266-6868 is the number. Jack just messaged me on Messenger and makes an excellent point. Jeff, would libs be okay with a pilot leaving the cockpit to go breastfeed? No, I hope not. No. I don't know what to tell you. Pilots make phenomenal money. Now, pay for someone. If you're going to have a baby, pay for someone to take care of the baby while you're working or flying or whatever it is. Or in this case, protecting the president and everyone that attends his events. If you're not up for it, then get another job. I don't know what else to say. 617-266-6868 is the number. John in Westford. Thanks for holding, John, and welcome.
Yeah, good morning. I think we're all being played. This is theater. It continues the narrative that the Secret Service are incompetent. There's no way in hell that 3 babies were allowed on the road with a Secret Service agent. These people, they live like gypsies, and that she's breastfeeding in the secured control room. There's no way. It just shows they're doing it on purpose. It's a joke. Yeah, and it's to cover the tracks that it was an inside job.
Oh, you mean they're trying to cover their tracks that 3 weeks ago in Butler, that basically you're saying it was an inside job, correct?
Yeah, it's physically impossible the way they live. If you listen to Dan Bongino about the life of a Secret Service agent on the road, you physically can't do it. And then to have, her breastfeeding in the control room leak to the public, even that's a joke. The whole thing is to keep the narrative going. They're incompetent, and that's what led to the first shooting, and I hate to say it, probably the second one.
John, I'm just curious. When you heard this story break, because it went everywhere, it really went everywhere, were you shocked that she wasn't fired and that apparently she won't be fired?
No, not at all. No, right from the beginning, I thought this is a joke. Yeah, there's I don't know. There's no way.
John, I just want to flush you out a little bit. You're basically saying it's almost as if they said, look, bring your baby to work. Breastfeed your baby. bring your kids, bring everybody. Go into the secure command center. And then, we'll find you there. And then this story will get everywhere, but we're not going to release your name. And this way, people are going to be saying, my God, what kind of agents are they hiring there at the Secret Service? Oh, well, no wonder Trump was almost assassinated. So are you saying was it deliberate on their part? %
deliberate. They allowed it to happen. I mean, these people, they're there the night before, packing up. They're on the road. And you mean to tell me that the 3 kids are traveling with this woman? And she probably was a patsy. She didn't know what was going on. They threw her under the bus, kept it a secret. And look how incompetent we are.
Interesting. John, thank you very, very much for that call. Look, it's another at a minimum, it's a huge black eye, another black eye on the Secret Service. Again, and if I'm Trump, can you just, put yourself in his shoes? Because he's going to, this morning, I'm sure he's heard about it. This story broke yesterday. And he's probably looking at, picks up the morning paper and like, what? So let me get this straight. I almost get my head blown off 3 weeks ago. I'm lucky to be alive. And now I'm in, 2 days ago, I'm in North Carolina. And one of the Secret Service agents abandons her post and is breastfeeding her baby in the command center without any permission. Nobody knew, no warning, no nothing. So had somebody gone into her sector and wanted to kill me, they could have gotten away with it. I'm telling you, no wonder everyone says, well, he's not doing rallies like he used to. Yeah, I don't know if I would too if I were him. After a while, you're thinking like, maybe they want me killed. It seems pretty obvious now. 617-266-6868. Hank in California. Thanks for holding, Hank, and welcome.
Hey, good morning, Jeff.
Hi,
I think what, with regard to the agent bringing her kids, I think what people are really missing is the fact that it creates a massive conflict. So when the bullets start flying, do you think her loyalty will be to protecting the president or protecting her kids?
Oh, I'd be protecting her kids. To be honest,
100%.
And in a way, I don't blame her. You shouldn't, that's why you don't bring your kids, right? But, and look, I know she's professionally bound to protect the president, but come on, what mother, right, you got a baby and 2 other kids with you, 2 other children with you. Of course, the mother's going to protect her children, right, Hank?
100%. And that's why they have these rules set in place that you don't bring them, because it's a massive conflict. It's a distraction.
Well, and you're right. As you put it, it's divided loyalty. Say there is, a shooting, let's just go back to Butler, 2-3 weeks ago, whatever it was, right? And there were female agents. We saw them put their bodies on Trump, basically saying, look, if a bullet comes, it's going to go through me, right? So they threw themselves on Trump as the bullets were whizzing by. Well, think about it now from, this Secret Service agent now in North Carolina. Well, is she going to put her body on Trump with the bullets whizzing by? Or is she going to be worried about her little baby and her 2 kids? If she's a mother, she'd be worried about her baby and her 2 kids. Obviously, that's what a mother should be worried about. So she really can't protect the president. Final word to you, Hank.
I absolutely agree. I've seen it where we've taken fire and just without the kids even being there, and mothers doing what mothers do, and that's why they're great mothers. But there's certain places it's appropriate not, and I've seen them buckle, thinking they're never going to see their kids again, and rather than pulling their holsters out and fighting back, they're just buckled, thinking they'll never see their kids. It's just a distraction that shouldn't be there. So,
Hank, thank you very much for that call. I really appreciate it. 617-266-6868. Okay, look, you know what? If I'm not here to speak the truth, what's the point of me being behind this microphone? So let's go where no one else wants to go because they're afraid to. Do you think there are people within the Secret Service who want Trump to be killed? Do you believe that? 7:32 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer. All right, shocking story, this time involving the Secret Service again in North Carolina. As you know, Trump, in fact, delivered one of his best campaign speeches in a long time a couple nights ago. Well, now we're talking about not what happened during the speech, but before the speech. In fact, 5 minutes before Trump arrived, or his motorcade arrived, a Secret Service agent, female agent, apparently now going by stories that have now been leaked, took a baby, went into the secure command center, left her post without permission, without warning anyone, without telling her supervisor or any other fellow Secret Service agent to breastfeed. And in fact was caught by what's called a site agent. That's the agent in charge of security of the entire venue. And apparently he did one final sweep before Trump was going to arrive, noticed that she wasn't at her post, didn't understand what was going on, almost began to panic, like what's happening here, and then went to the command center, and that's where he saw her. She was breastfeeding her child, and with her were two other children that she had. So two other of her children were there on top of the little baby. And God forbid, had someone tried to assassinate Trump, there was an entire sector that was unguarded. And so and by the way, she's not being fired. I'm not even sure she's being reprimanded. I'm talking, demotion or suspension, or she is apparently, the Secret Service is circling their wagons and they are protecting her, saying this is a personal matter and not a professional matter. Are you kidding me? Seriously, are you kidding me? Now, I want to put this on the table. As I said before the break, if others don't have the guts to talk about certain issues, that's their problem. Do you believe we've had the assassination attempt? All of the security lapses that took place again and again and again. And now this. Is the Secret Service, or to be more specific, are members within the Secret Service, certain moles inside the Secret Service, looking to get Trump killed? Do you fear now that there are traitors within the Secret Service who want to see Trump eliminated before the November election? 617-266-6868. And if you were advising President Trump, what would you tell him to do regarding the Secret Service? Would you still trust them? Or would you hire your own security? Tom in the great state of Ohio. Thanks for holding, Tom, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff, I was fortunate yesterday afternoon. I was listening to Vince Colonnese, and he interviewed Susan Crabtree. So here's a little bit of highlights of that interview. Apparently, this agent was from the Atlanta field office. She was on loan. Her parents trailed her with, and it wasn't a baby, it was a child. The child was 2 years old. So apparently, when they did their walkthrough and everything, she was assigned near the bunker room, whatever that is, the sheltered room, in the event something would happen. So you're right. 5 minutes beforehand, before his motorcade got there, she decided the parents brought the kid into her and she breastfed. Now, one of the things that Susan said was, in order to get access to the president, I don't care if it's Biden, Kamala Harris, or whoever, you have to submit to a background check 24 to 48 hours before. You got to give your Social Security number, and they go do background check. And then there are degrees of entry that you can have an access. They weren't vetted at all. Mm-hmm. Not to say that her parents are bad people, but again, you add that lapse to this lapse, and you got to say to yourself, this has got to be an inside job.
I'm with you, Tom. In fact, again, Sandy was in my ear, and she was reminding me. Remember when at the RNC, the Republican National Convention in Wisconsin, exactly what you just said. Sandy and I had to give out all of our information, contact info, Social Security, because the Secret Service had to give both of us a thorough background check, vetting, before we could even cover the RNC. When we were broadcasting live. Or else we wouldn't be allowed into the convention center. So you're right. I mean, that's just standard operating procedure. Look, I'm going to get in trouble for saying this, and maybe I shouldn't even say it. But I mean, the guy. So it's not even a baby; it was a 2-year-old child. Sorry, Tom, but the people still really? Maybe I'm expressing my ignorance here because Grace did not breastfeed. Okay, so do you still breastfeed a child at 2? Tom, I mean, by 2, aren't they on the bottle by then?
Yeah, one would think.
They have teeth, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. That's what I mean. I'm sorry. Am I crazy or, so Tom, so they couldn't control this 2-year-old kid. So they brought him in and to say, okay, here, suck on mommy's, go ahead. I mean, is that why? That's why they brought the kid in?
Jeff, nowadays you can go ahead and pump. You can have that already ready. Why wouldn't they have brought that to parents? Stayed with the kid. She's done with the event. She leaves. She can do whatever she wants.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
How do you make a
the
decision?
Parents have the kid. I don't know, a pacifier if the kid's going crazy in the car. I don't know, a binky, a pacifier. Honestly, Tom, people get, the audience gets mad at me, but buy the kid an ice cream. Whatever it takes to shut the kid up. You know what I'm saying, Tom?
Right. Yeah, I raised 4 of them, Jeff. Mm-hmm.
I mean, You do what you got to do. You know what I mean? They're crying, they're teething, whatever. Okay, here, you want a little ice cream? There you go. While you're feeding the kid sugar, leave me alone. I'm trying to deal with a situation here. Tom, so you're saying there's no question now. This is clearly an inside job.
Jeff, how could you not think that? I mean, how could you not think that? And for her, more than likely not to get fired. I mean, she was part of this whole DEI hire. That was the other thing that she said. She was part of this Cheadle's whole thing of hiring more women into the Secret Service.
Incredible. Tom, phenomenal call. Phenomenal. Thank you so much. What do I say? Best audience in the business. Dan in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Dan, and welcome.
Yes, Jeff. Sorry,
Dan.
was working. Jeffrey, that guy Dave earlier was right. The fake news media is so corrupt. You get the Viacom, Cox Communications twins, Ari Fleischer, and Karl Rove, who are consultants in the corrupt media. Okay, it's unbelievable. Okay, Jeff.
Yes, go ahead, Dan.
We got to help Trump. That's what we got to do. It's not just the Marxist Communist Democrats. It's the uniparty Marxist Republicans. And some of them are even worse. Globalists, okay? Like Youngkin, who spoke at an event for Kelly Ayotte. Keep in mind, look at Florida. We got to get rid of these. There's a primary coming up. We got 8 Fs over there. Dunn, who has a 50. You got Salazar, a 30. Jimenez, 45. Waltz has a 70. Webster has 63. Valericus, 60. Buchanan, 65. Diaz, 53. They need to be primaried out. Simple as that.
Well, Dan, look, you're putting your finger on something molto importante. That's very important, which is all of the rhinos that are in the Republican Party and within the Republican conference. Okay. In other words, Republican members of Congress. But let me tell you what's worrying me even more. You're right. You're completely right. They worry me. But let me tell you what worries me even more. And I don't want to get too sidetracked, but I guess it's all tied into how Trump needs to really watch his back. Kellyanne Conway. She's a little snake. It is now coming out, not just that Kellyanne Conway is a registered foreign agent for this powerful Ukrainian oligarch with direct ties to the Zelensky regime. So she's not America first, she's Ukraine first. You know all these stories you keep hearing about in the liberal media? About J.D. Vance? And how Trump is not happy with J.D. There's a problem with J.D. It's all coming from Kellyanne Conway. 617-266-6868 is the number. You can text us 70470, 70470. The text machine is burning up. Okay, this is from 508. Please, all of you, you need to stop what you're doing. Trust me, you got to hear this. Jeff, it is well documented that the CIA and the FBI vet prospective agents with regard to their support or disapproval of Trump. A former CIA agent spoke on Tucker Carlson's show about that very subject. Why would we expect anything different with the Secret Service? Bingo. Bingo. I'm telling you, the audience is killing it today. I mean, always it's A, but today it's A+. Dead on. Absolutely dead on. So we know that the CIA hires people who hate Trump. It's a key criteria. If you're a pro-Trumper or a pro-MAGA or a conservative, CIA is not for you. They discriminate against people who support Trump. FBI, if it's possible, even worse. Why wouldn't it be the same at the Secret Service? Because I'll tell you this, notice when they protect Joe Biden, you never hear of security lapses like this. They're protecting, chameleon Kamala now, Commie Kamala. You don't hear of security lapses like this. But when it comes to Trump, it's incredible. They don't see guys on roofs with guns. They don't see guys walking around with a gun 30 minutes before he's going to shoot the president. They're being told by local law enforcement, shoot her on the roof, shoot her on the roof. Nobody does anything. I mean, I could go on and on and on and on. And now their agents, they breastfeed. Now when they're protecting Trump, they leave their post and it's what baby? It's a 2-year-old kid. And now they breastfeed. I mean, you can't make this up. So no, I don't. No, it's not incompetence. I personally think it's an inside job. I'm with the callers on this. I think it's deliberate. I think it's intentional. And look, people want to kill Trump. I mean, naturally, you don't even have to plan it. I go back to Biden. I'll play the cut again. Go beat the hell out of him. Basically Biden is saying now over and over again, kill him, shoot him, take him out, do what you got to do. So there's always going to be assassination attempts on Trump. You got to foil them before you got to nip them in the bud. You got to foil them before they take place. Well, if you got Secret Service agents deliberately turning a blind eye or actually leaving their posts, the president is vulnerable. And that's when he can be killed. Agree, disagree. Annie on the South Shore. Thanks for holding, Annie, and welcome.
Good morning. It's been a while. It's nice to speak with you.
Great to hear from you again, Annie.
I tell you what, I heard of this yesterday, and I was absolutely appalled. And there is no reason for this woman to be bringing her children to work, number one, putting their lives in jeopardy. That's child abuse to me. I was in the medical field, and I was wagged down one day. There was a really bad accident in my town. They needed EMTs. I had my children with me. And the officer said to me, "We need you." And I said, "I have my children with me. First priority, my children." I couldn't do it. Well, they were able to bring in a police officer that took my children, and I knew that they were safe, so I was able to do my job. If she can't take and do her job the way that it's meant to be, she should be fired. I'm tired of this going along to get along crap in our country. You know, people had better wake up, because this is where it started to begin with. You turn a blind eye to something, and it's like a snowball that just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And this is where we are now. So we accept the fact that we've got people that are protecting Donald Trump that don't like him. Do you really think that they're going to put their lives in jeopardy to save this man when it comes down to it? Yeah, you have a few that are going to do it, but you could get those other few that are out there that, oh, gee, by accident they tripped or they did something. And this man is vulnerable. We, as a nation, need to join together. Those of us that are true, and don't get me wrong, Jeff, there are a lot of Americans, but there are true Americans. We've been divided. Those that love this country, those that love God, country, respect, values, morals, and want our country back. That's what we are fighting for. That is what Donald Trump is fighting for. And if I hear one more woman, and I'm a woman, if I hear one more woman say to me, well, I'm voting for Kamala because she's a female, I am sick of it. Is that the mentality that we've come to now in this country?
Annie, you hit the nail right on the head. I mean, she's going to bury us. And it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman or gay or straight or black, white, brown, young, old. We're all going to get buried under her. And I'm telling you, women who say they're voting for Kamala simply because of her sex or her plumbing are going to make the biggest mistake of their entire lives. They are going to rue the day they pulled a lever for that woman. Because you're dead on, Annie. Kamala hates this country with every fiber in her being. Annie, thank you very, very much for that call. No, and just, again, this point has to be emphasized. She had her parents taking care of her kids. She had her parents. I mean, which is fine. Please don't get me wrong. I mean, parents often, grandparents to the kids, right? Her parents, which is fine. That happens all the time. It's a great blessing to be able to have grandparents or, your parents, but the kids' grandparents to lean on and help babysit the kids or watch over the kids. So her children were being taken care of. She was followed in her car. She was from Atlanta, Secret Service agent on loan for this event in North Carolina. The parents apparently followed her, and she goes in to do her shift, to do her job. The parents have the children. Okay, 3 of them. The 2-year-old, who I thought was a baby, but apparently he's now 2, and then 2 other kids. And I guess the 2-year-old, was acting up or yelling, screaming, hungry, whatever. And so they bring the child in and say, look, here, you got to feed the child. And so, boom, breastfeed, go. And she leaves her post. I'm looking at this, I'm like, look, you take care of the child until mommy is done with her shift. Like, hello? Well, the baby's hungry. Then feed the baby. Look, believe me, I bet, like, as my father would say, I was born with 2 left hands. I'm right-handed. I'm a klutz. I fed Ava. I fed Ashton. I fed them baby food. I gave them bottled milk. I even heated the milk for them and then put it in the bottle and gave it. They survived. Everybody was fine. To me, when they're really cranky, you give them ice cream. I'm telling you, it works. Ava teethed. Ashton was teething. Ice cream works. Grace would yell at me. I'm giving too much sugar. It doesn't matter. Problem solved. So there are a million ways to handle kids who are hungry or cranky or crying. Instead, mommy and daddy can't handle them, so they go into the venue and say, here. You know, I'm just going to make up a name. Here, Jenny's crying. Here. Here, she needs your nipple. Go. This is unbelievable. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, before I get to Jay in Lexington, all right, it's 8 o'clock. You know what that means, huh? Caller of the week, Kuhner's call log.
It's time for Kuhner's Call Log, sponsored by MyPillow.com, where we showcase our favorite caller from the week.
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Thanks for holding, Aaron.
The Democrats, I have not seen them this excited since Barack Obama. One of my roommates is a Democrat, and he said it was the answer to his prayers to get rid of Biden. The fact that she's running a generic campaign is just what the doctor ordered. It worked for Obama. Nobody knew who he was, so they dropped him in. Biden was in the basement. It worked. They're trying to do that with Kamala Harris. Here's why I am panicking, and please don't tell me we're going to win a landslide and Trump's going to make everything all better. Yesterday was primary day in Wisconsin and Minnesota. Did you see the numbers? Barely 100,000 Republicans voted. The Democrats, it was like 300,000, 400,000. For every Republican who voted last night in Wisconsin, 4 Democrats voted. Why are conservatives staying home? Why are we not voting? We're going into the Soviet Communist United States. We still won't vote. We're still staying home. Again, one of the reasons why we lost the 2022 midterm elections is 20 million people who voted for Trump in 2020 stayed home in 2022. What is it going to take for us to get out and vote?
And next week, it could be you on Kuhner's Call Log, sponsored by MyPillow.com.
Please, don't be a stranger. Call again. That was Aaron. I was just happy that Aaron wasn't driving as he was on the phone with us, because, boy, he was so upset. I thought he was going to, if he's driving, I'm like, Aaron, please don't drive, because you're going to drive right off the road or get a heart attack and then just drive off the road. But no, he's completely right. We got to vote. I mean, this is unbelievable. We're not voting in key primaries. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, my friends. Discover MyPillow's $25 extravaganza. You can get amazing deals on selected items like 2-pack MyPillows, fashionable sandals, luxury towel sets, all for just $25 each. Also, snag a 4-pack dish towel set and the new premium MyPillows in Giza fabric at this incredible price. Call now, 1-800-972-2316, 1-800-972-2316, or go to MyPillow.com, MyPillow.com, and don't forget the promo code WRKO. I just want to go right back to the one quick text and go back to the phone lines, because I think this one hits the nail right on the head. This is from 212. Jeff. It is amazing that the left has destroyed everything. The most respected and elite law enforcement agency, the Secret Service, is now compromised like all the other agencies run by the left. The only ones being protected are the Democrats. Bingo. Bingo. I don't think their job is to protect Trump. I'm sorry, I don't believe it anymore. I know some are, there's no question. But I think now there are clearly some people inside, moles, whatever you want to call it, who are more than happy to turn a blind eye. And notice, I don't want to repeat myself, but notice you never hear about these kind of scandals when it comes to protecting Joey, Dementia Joe, or Kami Kamala, or now it's Tim Waltz, or I can run down the whole list. It seems only when it's Donald Trump. It's just incredible. It's security lapse after security lapse after security lapse. Jay in Lexington. Thanks for holding, Jay, and welcome.
Hey, good morning, Jeff. I was going to say quickly, what do you expect from an administration where the Secretary of Transportation takes 2 months off of maternity leave? And, he did a great job handling East Palestine, Ohio. I mean, this is DEI at its worst. And a quick point I would like to make about Tim Waltz that no one's picking up on. I don't know if you ever read about his DUI, but he was going 90 miles an hour, claims that he couldn't hear the police sirens because he was hard of hearing. That was back in '95, yet he was able to stay 10 more years in the National Guard, and his hearing was never an issue there. I mean, this guy's a chronic liar, and he needs to be exposed. He's your classic political hack that's really a cancer on our society.
You're a genius. Jay, I'm telling you, you're a genius, because that's exactly one of the topics I wanted to get into. So you read my mind. Look, this is another massive scandal. And you're right. The media is trying to cover it up, and they can't. So when Tim Waltz, Tampon Tim, was a resident then of Nebraska, so he still hadn't, set foot in Minnesota, he is drunk. And I mean, he's really drunk. And he's driving 96 miles per hour in a 55 mile per hour zone. And in fact, he's not stopping for the police. And the police finally pull him over. And by the way, he's charged with not only driving drunk, but reckless driving. He has been lying about it ever since. This was, I think, 95, 96? Okay, in the mid-1990s. For the past 30 years, he has been lying, saying, oh, no, I wasn't drunk. You know why I couldn't hear the police with the sirens? I'm deaf. I'm hard of hearing. I couldn't hear the police because of all my years of service in the National Guard. Well, what service in the National Guard? Were you in a war zone, Tim? I'm sorry. How did you lose your hearing in the National Guard? Was it Iraq? Even though we weren't in Iraq at the time. This is 1995, Tim. Is it Afghanistan? Well, no, but we weren't in Afghanistan until 2001, Tim. But he's claiming that he was in so many war zones that he got deaf from all the artillery. That, this guy, Rambo. He's just all the artillery and the heavy fire and the chaos of war. That he's deaf. He's not deaf. He's a liar. He was so drunk, the police had to drive him to the local hospital. And that's when they gave him some further tests, and they confirmed, he was sick. What 6 sheets? He was 12 sheets to the wind. He lied. He says he drove himself to the hospital. A lie. He says he wasn't drunk. A lie. He says he was deaf. A lie. And this has haunted him now for 30 years. And he just lies and lies and lies. But do me a favor, Jay. You're not going to believe his latest lie. I'm going to get to it. I promise in the next segment, all of you are going to want to hear this, because this is, if it's not a scandal, it should be a scandal. You want to talk about stone cold racism from Kamala Harris and Tim Waltz. This is unbelievable. And the lies they're spewing to try to cover it up. So, no, Jay, you nailed it. He's a pathological, incorrigible liar. And the more we see of it, the more it's obvious. Thank you for that call, Jay. Tammy in Halifax. Thanks for holding, Tammy, and welcome.
Hi.
Hi,
How are
Tammy.
you today?
I'm good. How are you, Tammy?
I'm great, thank you. I don't even know where to begin on this whole breastfeeding issue. I'm a mom. I'm 63, raised a child, breastfed, and there's a time and a place. And seriously, the time and the place is not at that job. There's jobs where that could be done, but how could you not think that this was a conspiracy to get her off of her post and a 2-year-old to boot? And having kids in that venue, why would you even think that was okay to bring your kids? That could be a dangerous situation. Who thinks that's okay? I don't even know where to start on how many things this is wrong. I agree. Breastfeeding, 100%. Absolutely. Being able to do it at some jobs? Absolutely. Time and place. Time and place. This was not the time nor the place. How could you not think that it was set up?
I agree. And Tammy, you mentioned something that's been a little bit overlooked in this whole conversation. It's not just that it puts Trump's life in mortal jeopardy, which is true, but everybody else who attends the rally. You get a shooter in there. It's not just Trump that's dead. It's people that are attending that are dead. So her actions, and by the way, her own children, she put her own children in danger. She put everyone else in danger. And she put the president in danger. And Tammy, this is what I can't wrap my mind around. The children, including this 2-year-old, were with her parents in the car. The parents drove with her to North Carolina from Atlanta. So she already had not one, she had 2 caregivers, the kids' grandparents. And because the kid is, I don't know, hungry, crying, whatever, kids are kids, they're 2, they're teething. I had 2 of them. I've got 2 of them. I know what they were like at 2. And they say, we can't handle this. So they go in, and I don't know how they get through security, but they just go on into the venue, and then, Junior needs the nipple. Here, go. Tammy, final word to you.
Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And I don't understand if they were being watched, why the parents couldn't figure that out. They obviously raised a child, but yeah, definitely Trump needs to watch his back on that. 100%.
Oh, I wouldn't trust him.
Count.
Oh yeah. No,
I wouldn't trust anybody.
Oh, I don't trust him. I don't trust him at the Secret Service. You're right. I don't trust anybody, but I certainly don't trust the Secret Service. The assassination attempt should have showed it to you. But this, come on, it's obvious now. 8:19 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, this is incredible. You're not going to believe me because this is so outrageous. You're going to say, come on, Jeff. There's no way this is true. This is a spoof on your part. This is just you. You're making fun of Kamala and Tim Walz, Tampon Tim, and this is all make-believe. No, I'm telling you. So, here is now the absolute latest. This broke maybe, 12 hours ago? So, as you know, Kamala Harris, okay, call me Kamala, and Tampon Tim, they do not want to sit down for an interview with any journalist, reporter, no matter how friendly. But they decided to interview themselves. And so they've released this cringe video of the 2 of them. And you could tell, by the way, they have no chemistry whatsoever together. You can clearly see they don't know each other from a hole in the wall. They don't connect. There's nothing linking these 2. Okay, but let that go. They're sitting around the table with a glass of water each. Okay, that's it. So they have a glass of water in front of them. They're sitting around a round table, and they're just talking with one another. Listen, this is them, and I think they're trying to portray themselves as sort of the underdogs, and they're going on about Coach Waltz, and this is like a football game. Roll cut 20, Mike.
Halftime in America, we're a touchdown down, and I kind of like the idea of being a little bit behind.
Well, I'm looking at Coach Walls right now. I'm looking at Coach Walls.
I'm looking at Coach Waltz. I like being behind. Yeah, I know. Everybody likes being behind, huh? You BSer, you. You liar, you. Okay. Anyway, it's a clown show. But it's more than a clown show. It doesn't just show you how pathetic these 2 people are. And they really are pathetic. It's how nakedly racist the video is. And that's why I said in the last segment, and I want to repeat it, this should be a major scandal. I think it will be. If it's not, it should become a major scandal. This is naked racist. There's no other way to put it. So they're trying this phony, they're ordinary people, they want to connect with ordinary people. So they're going on about tacos. And they're going on about how they like tacos. And listen now, you wouldn't believe it if I told you. This is Kamala and Waltz about tacos and so-called white guy tacos. Roll cut 21, Mike.
Like I have white guy tacos and
What is
like
that?
black,
Like mayonnaise and tuna? What are you doing?
pretty much ground beef and cheese.
That's
and,
okay. Do you put any flavor in it?
No.
Oh.
Here's the deal. No, they said to be careful and let her know this, that black pepper is the top of the spice level in Minnesota, you know.
I'm the first vice president, I believe, who has ever grown chili peppers.
I'm trying to expand my food knowledge.
You know, we've got some cantaloupes. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
And some cantaloupes, and that'll be fine. White guy tacos? I'm sorry, what is that? Is that tuna and mayo? What? What? And then he's like, no, this is just like, beef and cheese. That's all it is, beef and cheese. And, in Minnesota, where I'm from, black pepper, that's it. That's it. We don't go higher spice than black pepper. Because, I'm a white guy. And we white guys, we can't handle spices. You know how we white people are, huh? It's just tuna and mayo and a little bit of black pepper if we're lucky. When I first heard it, I said, is this a joke? Is this a spoof? Is this artificial intelligence? Like, is this some kind of an AI caricature of these two woke clowns and their anti-white racism? Now, can you flip it if I talked about African Americans? Say, or if they talk, or say Trump and J.D. Vance. Here, let's do it this way. Trump and J.D. Vance. Hey, we're going to do a video. We're going to interview ourselves. Yeah, what kind of food do you like? Blah, 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 blah. Oh, fried chicken and watermelon? Huh? Can you believe it was black people food? Can you imagine the racism, the cries of racism? Or whatever going on about stereotyping Latinos and what they eat. Tuna and mayonnaise? In Minnesota, it's about how spiciest we can get is black pepper. He's also a liar. You want to talk, again, this guy is a pathological liar. He lies all the time. He can't stop himself. How do we know this? Because Waltz has his own recipes of tacos that he's released. He brags about it. In fact, he released one, a week ago? And one of his famous is his turkey taco hot dish. I'm going to just read to you. He's bragging about it on X. Quote, I don't know, people. I make a pretty mean hot dish. Check out my award-winning recipe for turkey taco hot dish. What do you think it has? Paprika, chili powder, onion powder, garlic powder. I mean, the thing will blow your tongue off. It's like one of those, 5-alarm chilies. Like you eat it, you're like, get a fire extinguisher. Forget water. And he's doing the stereotype. The whole, we don't have taste buds. We're white guys. Yeah, we can't handle spice. We're white guys. Yeah, all we eat is tuna and mayo and white bread. We're white guys. You know how we are. By the way, just so that people know, white Europeans, I don't know, Greek food, French food, Italian food, Portuguese food, Central Eastern European food, they use a ton of paprika. What are these idiots talking about? It wasn't just cringe. It's naked anti-white racism. And these two clowns should be ashamed of themselves. That's your video? 8:33 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, I want to play the cut one more time. And I want to get your reaction, all of you here in Kuhner Country, if you think that Kamala Harris is a racist. Or, if to be more specific, if this is not a blatantly racist comment. Roll cut 21, Mike.
Like I have white guy tacos and
What is
like
that?
black,
Like mayonnaise and tuna? What are you doing?
pretty much ground beef and cheese.
That's
and,
okay. Do you put any flavor in it?
No.
Oh.
Here's the deal. No, they said to be careful and let her know this, that black pepper is the top of the spice level in Minnesota, you know.
I'm the first vice president, I believe, who has ever grown chili peppers.
Well, trying to expand
We'll
my
figure that-
my food knowledge.
You know, we've got some cantaloupes. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole thing is, honestly. Now, let me ask you, okay? What if he turned around and said to her, well, you know, you're half Indian, half black, you know, whatever. Well, you must like fried chicken and watermelon. What do you think the response would be? They'd be shouting racism from the rooftops. People would be saying it's blatantly racist. So, if it's blatantly racist to say that, you know, you all, because of your skin color, you must like certain food. How is it not racist for Kamala to be doing the exact same thing regarding this ridiculous video with her and Tampon Tim Waltz? This may come as a shock. A lot of white people don't like tuna and mayonnaise. And a lot of white guys don't like tuna and mayonnaise. Frankly, I don't care for mayonnaise at all. I can't stand mayonnaise. Tuna, I can stomach. I'll have it once in a blue moon, but really, I don't know what that is. A white guy taco. I mean, is there a black guy taco? Is there an Asian guy taco? Now, okay, there's this, but hold on. Here's another one. That's what I mean. You see, she was fine as long as she was hiding in the basement. But now, this is why I led the show with this. I go starting from yesterday. Her numbers now are going to relentlessly start dropping. She's just, by the way, unveiled her economic plan. She's going to give a speech, but we actually now have the plan. And it's exactly what we all thought, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit later in the show. So she's now going to unveil her economic plan. Bad idea. Now she's interviewing herself, or they're interviewing each other. She's opening her mouth. See, the moment she opens her mouth, she's in big trouble. And he's also, he's not smart as well. But this one, ay. Now, they're going from food, white guy tacos, to now music. Now remember, her husband is white. He's Jewish. He's a white guy. It's very important. Why? Here it is. They're talking music. Tim Waltz, Kamala Harris. Roll cut 23B, Mike.
My husband Doug and I'm more of a hip-hop girl. Yep. He's more of Depeche Mode.
Oh, yeah. Oh, but at the same time.
I'm sure you like the same music.
Of course. So.
But Prince, in the Venn diagram of things, Prince, he and I love the same. Because, talk about how Prince was with that guitar, man. I almost know by heart every one of those songs.
I feel like a trip to Paisley Park is going to happen here if the staff
It's on my bucket list, I'll tell you that.
So she goes on about, her husband likes Depeche Mode. She's like, well, I'm sure you like that kind of music too. Why? Because the implication is clear. My husband's white, you're white. So of course you guys would like Depeche Mode. Like, in other words, white people like the same music. Now, again, let's flip it. Well, I figure, hey, you're black. You must love rap, right? You must love hip-hop, right? Two black people, you must love hip-hop, huh? Jay-Z, I bet you all love Jay-Z, huh? What do you think the reaction would be? Well, you think just because two people are black, they have to like the same music? By the way, I can't stand Depeche Mode. I can't stand them. Can't stand Prince either, but let that go. Okay? So, what are you talking about? I don't like tuna and mayonnaise. I'm serious. I like spicy food. My mother put paprika. She was from, Central Europe, from Croatia. So, yeah, they put paprika on everything. I love paprika. There. My wife is Italian. She puts spices on everything. Mwah, I love it. So what are you talking about? The woman is a woke leftist, which means she's an anti-white racist. That's what wokeism essentially is. DEI is just a nice way of saying anti-white bigotry. That's what it really means. Anti-white men in particular, but anti-white in general. So I got to ask the question. If you said black guy tacos, you don't think people would be screaming racism? If Trump and J.D. Vance were talking like this, or if they said, well, hey, this guy's black, he must love that music. He must love hip-hop or rap because he's black. Well, he's black. He must love fried chicken and watermelon, right? They would be finished. Finished. She opens her mouth. You got to see the whole video. It is so cringeworthy. They're so phony. They're such a bunch of obvious frauds that when you look at it, you're like, are you serious? You're trying to relate to ordinary people and it's obvious you can't because you want to talk about weird? You're both so freaking weird. But what suffuses the whole thing is the bigotry and how this guy is setting himself up always. Tim Walz, remember he after the 2020 riots in Minnesota, he literally apologized for being white. Said, in quote, his words, I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed that I'm white. I'm ashamed that my father was white. I'm ashamed that my mother was white. Almost practically looking at his arm, like his skin. Like, God, why did you give me this skin color? This guy, he's a sick, self-loathing liberal. And she's playing right into it. Right into it. So, I'm telling you, this video that they're introducing themselves is going to be a disaster. It's a disaster. And you combine that with now her economic plan that she's going to unveil today, her numbers start going down starting right now. So I want to ask all of you, is Kamala Harris a racist? Is this video a racist video? 617-266-6868. And to everybody out there who happens to be white, or especially white guys, tell me, can you explain to me what a white guy taco is? Apparently, all you white guys, all of us white guys, apparently we all love tuna and mayonnaise, according to Kamala. And pepper is the strongest thing we can take. 617-266-6868. Jay in Springfield. Thanks for holding, Jay, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. I think Sandy ought to add that bumper song, the Who song, Have You Seen the Real Me? I think that'd be a good one. I've been on hold, so this is an older subject, but just as insane.
Go ahead, Jay. It's all on the table.
This is no lie. There's a movement called the Laleshi League. My wife's hairdresser has respectively 3 children, 4, 6, and 8. And I don't know what the cap is, but the Laleshi League believes in that to keep your kids really, really healthy, they should be breastfed as long as possible, and they are all still being breastfed. I don't know what they do when they go to school, but I know for a fact that's their meal at breakfast and dinner time.
No, come on, Jay. You're kidding.
He's a strong proponent of it, and I don't know money details. Otherwise, what she just talks my wife's ear off on how she should have breastfed her children longer, and my children in their 20s now, but still.
Jay, can you do me a favor, please? Listen, I got a hard break coming up. Can you hang on? I want to come back to you. 849 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, liberalism's worst nightmare. Lisa before I get to Lisa, forgive me. Jay in Springfield. Jay, you were talking about this movement among a certain group of women to breastfeed even when the kids are going to school because they believe breastfeeding is the healthiest way to feed your child, and they feed them for breakfast and they feed them for dinner. And I'm just curious, Jay, when do they stop breastfeeding their children? I mean, is it like 5 years old, 6, 8, 10, 12 years old? When do they stop with this movement that you're talking about, Jay?
Don't know. All I know it's called the Laleshi League, and it's been in at least 20 years, the woman had told my wife. And like I said, the oldest child is 8. So I don't know what the cap is or how long they do it for, but it's called the Laleshi League, and perhaps Sandy could check into it. I know it's crazy, but I mean, we're talking about some same things today. I mean, it's been one of those days with what you've been talking about.
Yeah, Sandy says Jay, Sandy says it's pronounced Leche. Leche, forgive me, Leche. It's the Leche League. She says that's how it, and she says usually they stop at about 8 to 9 years old.
Right. I mean, the kid is 8, the oldest one.
And he's still breastfeeding.
Yes, he is, yes. I was looking forward to getting home.
Holy shamoly. I mean, Jay, I don't know what to say anymore. Jay, thank you very, very much for that call. I really appreciate it. You know, and soon it'll be 10, and then it'll be 12, and then it'll be 14, then it'll be 16. Then the kids are, he has to come back, he can't go away to college because he's got to come home for dinner every night. And breastfeed his mom, breastfeed off his mom. I mean, ay. Lisa in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Lisa, and welcome.
Hi, guys. I'm not commenting on that.
It's just...
I'm just going to...
Seriously, Lisa, are we living in a loony bin or what? I mean, ay. Breastfeeding till 8, 9 years old. I mean, why stop? But anyway, I'm sorry. Keep going, Lisa.
My grandfather's famous last words, it takes all kinds of people to make the world go round. And I'll just leave it at that. So I was calling because of the caller of the week. Because I heard him when he came on, and I was like literally screaming at the phone. And I just wanted to say, I hope people are listening. The reason why Republicans don't vote is because the Republicans they vote for are useless. And they did nothing from 2020 when they finally got the run of the House, and they did nothing. And you cannot reward them, but on the other hand, by not rewarding them, you get what we got. So even though I would never, ever vote for another Republican representative again, you have to go and vote because the alternative is this, the huge budget, every single thing that the Democrats want, they get. They were never willing to shut the government down. They were never willing to lead by the purse and do what needed to be done. We've been going over this, Jeff, for how many years, you and I? Spineless jellyfish. And when you don't have an incentive to get off your butt and go, then they don't go. The Democrats, it's their religion. So if you're a holy roller, and I believe in God, but I don't go to church. I wish I did, but I don't. But when you're religious, you go to church every Sunday, sometimes on Wednesdays. You preach the gospel. You believe it. You live it. The Democrat, that's their religion. So no matter what, they're going, right? And the Republicans, they go, I don't like this guy. He didn't do this. And they stay home. You can't blame them, but you can blame them. So it infuriates me if those stats are true, and I don't know for sure that they are, but it sounded like he knew what he was talking about. Why would you go and reward these people for doing nothing? They went on vacation for the whole month of August when they're all these individual bills for the budget have to be done. They're only up to 5 or 6. There's 12. The whole reason why they got rid of Kevin McCarthy is so they can individually bring these different groups of the budget to be voted on. And he sent them home for a month. When when Trump almost got assassinated, the whole country's burning. They switched out, like in broad daylight, right under our noses. They just said, you know what? Forget the millions of people that voted for Joe. We don't like him anymore. He's old. He's dumb. We're just going to put Kamala in. And people went, oh, okay. You know, the ones that spew democracy every day of their lives, they just break every rule. They get away with everything. And the Republicans go, nah, that wasn't right. We have a constitution. Wah, wah, wah. I'm so sick. I hate them. And you know I hate Democrats. But I really hate Republicans more sometimes because they're useless. Trump is only going to be around for 4 more years. What happens, Jeff, when he's not on the head of the ticket anymore?
Well, Lisa, to be honest, I think that's why he chose J.D. Vance. I think he sees J.D. as his heir apparent. And I've got to say, J.D., I don't know if you've been following on the campaign trail, he has been incredible. I mean, the media doesn't want to report what he says because he's destroying them day after day after day. And I can't wait for the debate between JD and you know, Tampon Tim. He is going to annihilate Tim Walz. He is going to dismantle him. He's going to tear him apart limb from limb. So, you know, and, you know, Trump talked about this a little bit yesterday. It was one of the most moving parts of his press conference. I thought, by the way, it was genius on the part of Trump. Genius. When he brought out cereal boxes and fruit, he brought out apples and bananas and vegetables, you know, right beside him as a prop. And he's saying, look how much this has gone up under Biden. Look how much this has gone up under Biden. Look how much this has gone up under Biden. And the press corps didn't know what to do. They didn't know what to do. But there was one point, in fact, I want to play it, if you don't mind, Lisa, because since you're talking about, you know, you believe in God and you don't go to church on Sunday, but, you know, you believe in God. And listen to Trump, because I think in many ways it's what's driving him in this election. And I believe it's why he chose J.D. Vance. So he's giving this presser in New Jersey. And he's asked, you know, point blank, you're talking about what happened on that fateful day in Butler and how you believe it was a miracle that you survived. Listen to Trump, because when you listen to him now describe what happened, you really realize it was a miracle, that by all intents and purposes, he should be dead now. And he believes he was saved by God. And the reporter says, well, why did God save you? Listen to Trump's response. Roll cut 5, Mike.
That particular graph, that was a graph on, as you all know now that it's very, I think everyone knows it very well, but it showed the great numbers on illegal immigration. It was the lowest point we've ever had. And it was one that I use less than 20% of the time. It's always at the end of the speech, not at the beginning of the speech. And it's always on the left side, not the right side. And yet, for some reason, I called it. It's not on a teleprompter. I do things largely without a teleprompter, frankly, because it's hard to hold an audience if you're going to go for an hour and a half or 2 hours reading a script. And I just talked about it, and I moved to my right, turned sharply to my right, ping. And if I didn't do that, I'm not here with you. So, yeah, God has something to do with it. It's a miracle, and God had something to do with it. And maybe it's we want to save the world. This world is going down. This world is going down.
So now he's right when he describes that day. And now I don't want to play the full cut because I don't want, play you a 2-3 minute cut. But he says, my sons do some shooting, Eric and Don Jr. And because, and Trump that was my initial reaction when I read about it. 130 yards away. I'm like, well, that's pretty far. And Trump said, look, I'm not a big shooter. I don't know much about that. To me, 130 yards, it's a football field and a little bit more. So I thought that's pretty far. He goes, no, my son said, no, 130 yards for shooting is nothing. It's the equivalent of a 1-foot putt. It's a layup. It's easy. So the shooter, who by the way was a good shooter, the shooter trained at ranges. I mean, Thomas Crooks, was somebody who practiced shooting often. And it was 130 yards away, which is very close range. And he said, I should have been dead. And I don't use this, this graph often. And not only do I not use it often, I usually do it at the end of my speech, not at the beginning of my speech, and always on my left. For some reason, that day was on my right. And he goes, it wasn't part of my speech. I just, for whatever reason, decided on the spot, spur of the moment, hey, look at the graph. I want everybody to look at this chart. And that's when I turned my head. And it was at that very split millisecond that I turned my head, as he put it, ping, the bullet came and it tore my top of my ear off. Had I not turned, it would have hit me right in the head. I'd be dead. I'd be dead. And so asked, well, what was it all about? And, he said to save the world, really, to save America. And by saving America, you save the world. Now, the only reason why I'm mentioning all this is if you noticed, he picked J.D. Vance after the assassination attempt. And I believe the reason why he faced his own mortality. He stared death in the face. And he realized two things. A, I'm very lucky to be alive. God saved me. And he saved me for one specific mission and purpose. And that is to save this country. But the other thing, and I know this because I've had several near-death experiences, nothing clears your mind more than a near-death experience. Nothing makes you think about, you're going to die. It's inevitable. We're all going to die. You're going to die. And what's going to come after me? That's right away that comes to your mind. What am I leaving behind? Who's going to come after me? And that's when he made the decision to pick J.D. Vance. He could have gone with Rubio. He could have gone with Doug Burgum. He could have gone with other candidates. He went with J.D. because J.D., when it comes to these core MAGA principles, these America First values and beliefs, is the one that's closest to Trump. And so he looks at J.D. as the next generation. You say, after his 4 years, where do we go? Trump is saying it's going to be J.D. We're going to go 4 with Trump, 8 with J.D. It's going to be 12 years of MAGA rule. Now, what they can't do to J.D., and I'm going to come right back to you, Lisa, is that they're able to do with Trump. J.D. is not a street fighter the way Trump is. Doesn't have these sharp elbows the way Trump does. He doesn't get into the name calling and the insults back and forth. It's a different style than Trump. Trump is a bit more of a brawler. JD is more polished. He's very articulate, very well spoken. So he's a little more polished, as I said. But they both say the same thing. They're not going to be able to tag JD with some of the attacks that they've been able to use against Trump. And with 4 years under Trump's tutelage, 4 years as vice president, with that kind of experience, and with the record that he's going to have in 4 years, I think J.D. Vance is going to be a political superstar. I mean, I could be wrong. I'm just giving you my honest opinion. Because of Trump, we're staring at 12 years, and they know it. They know it. And that's why they're going to do everything in their power to steal this election. Because this is not about the next 4 years. This is going to be a generational change, a political realignment, like the New Deal, that's going to change this country, I think, forever. That's the significance of the Trump-Vance ticket. And I believe that's why they're going to try to kill him. I believe the Secret Service is in on it. I think it's pretty obvious. The left is going to stop at nothing to assassinate Trump. Or they're going to jail him with Judge Merchan in about a month. Either he's going behind bars, or they're going to try to finish what they started in Butler. And that's why I've said to Trump many times now and his people, he's got to watch his back. Don't trust the Secret Service. And when you find out they're breastfeeding and abandoning their post, I mean, come on. Why don't you just put up a neon sign? Kill them. I mean, really. So, no, Trump is right. This is the final battle. One side will be standing victorious. The other side will be completely defeated. That's why we have to win. Final word to you, Lisa.
Agree with everything you said. The only thing that I will say is there will never be another Trump. So believe me, you and I have been talking about this for years. There had to be 4 more years of Trump bull in the China shop, and there had to be somebody to pick up the torch. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. I said to my kids after he got shot, just so you guys know, if I was there, I was jumping on top of him to save his life. And my daughter said, why would you do that? I said, because I can't save the world. He can. And that would be my last gift to you. And my daughter looked at me and said, you're serious? I said, damn straight. My body would have been right on top of him. Because I do this. I talk to you. I invest these hours. I volunteer. I donate for them. I'm 60, Jeff. I can live with whatever they throw at me for the next 20 years. My kids are on this earth, God willing, for another 65. We don't get back in there in November. I will spend the rest of my life worrying about what these kids will grow up in.
You know, it's amazing, Lisa, how you and I are so simpatico. It's just, and I've noticed that with many people in this audience. I'm like, it's almost like you finish my thoughts. Really. I can't tell you now. Here, last night, I don't want to give you my whole life story, but last night I was up till midnight, finished my show prep. I'm ready. And I'm just thinking about my 2 children. I'm thinking about Ashton and Ava. And all I'm thinking, Grace is asleep. I'm lying beside her in bed. And I'm thinking, this election is about them. I'm thinking, no, we'll survive. It'll be very hard, but I know Grace and I will survive. I'll make it somehow. We'll make it. But I go, my Ashton's 14, my Ava's going to be 12, whatever, in a couple of weeks in September. And they don't have a future. They don't have a future. This is for my children. This is for our children, our grandchildren. And to me, that's what this race is all about. And Lisa, thank you very, very much for that call. And that's why I'm like, I do it for you. To the kids, I go, I'm telling you, I'm doing all this for you. Now, to show you the kind of world that our children, that we're going to inherit, okay, you need to hear this. So, and I promise I'll go back to the phone lines, but you need to hear it because it's now been officially confirmed. So there were leaks last night about what would be in our economic plan. This is now officially what she is going to unveil later today, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. This is what they're going to unveil today. This is going to be their official economic policy agenda later today in North Carolina. At the heart of the agenda, because they want to make it seem now they care for middle working class people, and they have to lower inflation and the cost of living. So, what is their solution? Literally, Soviet-style price controls. This has never been proposed in this country. Frankly, it's never been proposed in any other Western country. This is a purely communist proposal. So, here is now what she's going to be proposing. She is going to empower the Federal Trade Commission. It's going to be almost like a centrally administered, as I said, Soviet-style or communist-style price control system in which they're going to have national price controls on food. They want national controls on rent, which is going to wreck housing. You think housing is expensive now. Wait till they start imposing rent control. Who the hell would want to build a home? Who wants to build an apartment building when you can't make any money? Well, what they're going to do now is they're going to take this insane model and now apply it to food. And here's what they're going to do. They are now going to go after corporations and grocery stores All corporations that, make food or process food or you name it, whatever, meat processors, I don't know, say Kraft and macaroni and cheese. Okay, as an example, mac and cheese. So they're going to go after these big food corporations and these grocery stores. And they're going to claim that they're engaging in price fixing or price gouging. And they're going to fine them massive fines if they believe that the price has gone up too high. Now, if you know anything about price controls, first of all, it's illegal. What they're proposing is unconstitutional. It is completely and utterly illegal. Illegal. Okay? But let that go. Let that go. What they're going to do now is going to lead to a direct food shortage. Because as anybody with half a brain knows, grocery stores and these food corporations, take mac and cheese, okay, as an example, their profit margin is very small. It's a couple percent. You go to Stop and Shop or Shaw's or Market Basket or Big Y or for people listening around the country, I don't know, Kroger's or, there's others. The profit margin of every grocery store is razor thin. They don't want to raise prices because then they lose customers. If they lose customers, they go out of business. If they start getting fined, what do you think is going to happen? They're going to say, forget it. If I can't even eke out a small profit, what's going to happen? You're not going to keep the grocery store open. Or you're not going to produce pork. Or you're not going to produce chicken. You think chicken farmers are getting rich? Their profit margin, very small. Kraft, mac and cheese, the profit margin, very small. So what's going to start happening, and this is what happens every time you impose price controls, it leads to massive shortages. Why? Well, why should I work for free? So I'm going to get up every day and work my butt off and open up the grocery store and manage the grocery store and run the grocery store. And at the end of the day, I make no money. What they're going to do is they're going to wreck food production and they're going to lead to massive food shortages. These people are insane. 9:18 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, so here it is, my friends. She's going to come out now with her economic agenda today, Kamala Harris. And the centerpiece are, as I said, Soviet-style national price controls, both wage and price controls. This is how she plans to deal with inflation, in particular on big food corporations and grocery stores. She's going to scapegoat them. They're responsible. According to her, they're responsible for the high cost of food and groceries. Not her policies, not that of Biden. No. Blame Stop and Shop. Blame Kraft. Blame whatever chicken breasts you buy or whatever sausages that you buy at your local grocery store. They are the ones that are driving up the cost of food, and she says now she's going to force them not to charge prices higher than her government, her regime that's going to come in, should she win in November, through the Federal Trade Commission. So they will say, for example, say Stop and Shop or Market Basket or whatever, you can't charge more than, I don't know, $1.99 for a pound of bananas. And if you charge more than $1.99 for a pound of bananas, then we're going to fine you millions and millions and millions of dollars. Now, what do you think is going to happen? The banana makers are going to make no money. The grocery store is going to make no money. And they're going to go out of business, or they're going to stop, putting the food on the shelves. Everywhere price controls have been tried, it leads to shortages. Everywhere. And to me, what is unbelievable, I'm already getting the feedback from these moonbats is they love it. The low information voters are going to eat this thing up. And if you remember, that's the Bernie Sanders phenomenon. That's what we saw in 2016. That's what we saw in 2020. And that's what we're seeing it with AOC, Elizabeth Warren, and now ultimately at the presidential ticket level through Commie Kamala and Tampon Tim, the Minnesota Marxist. Scapegoat the grocery stores and the food producers. Go after them. Now, I'm telling you, they tried this in the Soviet Union. They tried this in Eastern Europe. They've never tried it in a Western country until now. And it's going to be a national ban. On so-called price gouging, quote unquote. In other words, you can't raise prices. We're going to tell you what you should price every good in your store. We're going to tell you what's an acceptable and not an acceptable price. A, it's unconstitutional. It's illegal. It's a complete and utter assault. In fact, the destruction of the free market. Free enterprise. But it destroys the whole supply and demand. Everything works around supply and demand. So think about it. You're now running a business that no longer you're allowed to make money. Because again, the profit margins for food corporations, food companies, food producers, and grocery stores especially is maybe 2%, 1.5, 2%. Very low, very thin profit margins. You start adding more regulations and massive fees and fines, you're going to drive them all out of business. So, the government causes the inflation. Biden-Harris caused the inflation. Then they blame the businesses for the high prices that they caused. And then their solution? Bankrupt them. And I believe this is all, I'm telling you, this is part of their communist agenda. In the end, they want government-owned stores. It's the ultimate control over everyone, over the masses. Now you get your food from the government. They control all the food supply chains. They control all the grocery stores. And now you're ultimately dependent upon them. This is one of the stupidest, honestly, most ignorant, disastrous policy proposals I have ever heard in my entire life. This woman is insane. She's an idiot. She's an absolute idiot. Now, furthermore, this was them yesterday in Maryland, her and Biden. Now, the big takeaway was obviously Biden threatening MAGA supporters and Trump, saying, go out there and beat the hell out of them. Okay, so he's inciting people to political violence. But this is the other big takeaway. She now owns Bidenomics. Listen to what she admitted to. We know it. I talked about it. But now she's bragging about it again. I don't think she realizes what she just did to herself and her campaign. Roll cut 15, Mike.
2 years ago, as vice president, I was proud to cast the tie-breaking vote that sent the bill that gave Medicare the power to negotiate and let it get to the president's desk. And I was proud when our president, Joe Biden, signed that bill into law.
Get off the bottle. That's my strong advice to you. Seriously, lay off the bottle, okay? She's now bragging that she cast the tie-breaking vote for the so-called, and this was the biggest misnomer in history, the Inflation Reduction Act. The Inflation Reduction Act was the Green New Deal. The Inflation Reduction Act is where they spent trillions of dollars. And it was this massive spending, all of it deficit spending, that led to the runaway inflation. But here's the kicker. The Inflation Reduction Act that she's now bragging, yeah, I cast the tie-breaking vote. I'm Kamala. Make it a double. Make it a double on the rocks. On the rocks. That's what empowered the IRS to crack down on tips, to go after people in the service and hospitality industry and say, no, cough up more of your tips so we can tax them. That's how stupid she is. So on the one hand, she's saying, hey, I don't want no taxes on tips. And on the other hand, yeah, I signed the bill that unleashed the IRS to crack down and take away all of your tip money. She's finished. 9:31 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, I'm going to get to your calls, I promise. But first, joining us now, as she always does at this time, the CEO, president of Kelly Financial Services. And yes, that is her wonderful name, Kelly. Kelly, how are you?
Good morning, Jeff. I am good. Let's talk about something we all grew up with, the shopping mall. I bring this up because Macy's and Anchor Store in so many malls recently announced a sweeping store closure plan that could transform the mall as we know it today. It's likely that malls will need to start looking at repurposing themselves, but here the possibilities are exciting, like new medical facilities, new housing ideas, and a new look retail environment. It's not only malls that are changing, retirement is too. And we have a free investor guide that addresses this. It's called The Changing Story of Retirement. Gone are the days of planning retirement solely around a pension and Social Security. For the guide or to set up a free retirement consultation, give us a call or email Kelly at kellyfinancial.org. Jeff, I will continue this conversation with our Kelly advisors tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. on Safe Money Strategies Radio. Do tune in or go to our website for our radio rewind. Jeff, have a wonderful weekend. My best to Grace and the kiddos.
Thank you so much, Kelly. Have a wonderful weekend, and my best to everyone. To all of you, give them a call now, 888-800-1881. Ask for their free investor guide at Kelly Financial Services, or better yet, email Kelly herself at kelly@kellyfinancial.org. Okay, very, very quickly. This is from 617. Text line is 70470. 617 Jeff. When you have price controls, it leads to rationing. And when you have rationing, you're going to have ration cards. That's what happened in the old Soviet Union. That's exactly what's going to happen here. Bingo. That's the inevitable. Inevitable. So get ready, because you're going to start going to the grocery store. If Kamala wins and implements this radical Soviet-style proposal, it's basically a command economy, a centrally administered command economy. Then you're going to have nothing. You're going to be, it's like the old, like in old Russia or in Eastern Europe. You go to the market and there's no fruits, there's no vegetables. Maybe you get a can of ham or a loaf of bread here or there, but you are going to see empty shelves, and it's going to lead to a massive black market. It's going to lead to hunger. It's going to lead to food shortages. And remember, wherever communism has been tried, it inevitably leads to starvation. And this is one of the reasons why. 617. I'm telling you, this woman is a lunatic. This is one of the craziest proposals I've ever heard in my entire life. Okay, very, very quick. One more, and then I'm going right back to the phone lines. This is from Eric on Messenger. Jeff, and he's completely right. Jeff, if Kamala forces this price limit, it will trickle down and force the farming industry to start selling their farms at a faster rate because they won't be able to survive. And who do you think is going to buy up all these farms? China. Bingo. That's the ultimate game plan. Have the government take over food production and have the Chinese buy up all of our agricultural and farmland. If you're a farmer, she's going to drive you out of business. 617-266-6868. Dan in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Dan, and welcome.
Thanks for taking the call, Jeff.
My pleasure, Dan.
You've really described quite a dangerous, very out of control situation. I hate to say this, but we're in the midst of an economic coup, and anybody with half a brain. I'm not an economist, but I listen to. I think the man's name is Charles Lapper, and he's a very brilliant guy. And he basically says you need to deregulate. You need to basically get rid of all of that sludge regulation that's in the way. You basically need to produce. You need to produce oil. You need to produce gas. You need to produce technology and pharmacy. There's so many things that man has described to bring on, prosperity. But you've got a person who, like Kamala Harris and this other fake that she has that is really got a recipe of disaster that we're all going to face. We're not going to get out of it. And I hate to say it, but we're not going to come out of it the way that we went into it. And unfortunately, it's going to be the destruction of our country. It's going to be a depression like you've never seen in your entire life. And our lives depend on this vote. I mean, anybody with any reason or, any sanity can see that this woman, when asked a question about economics, she's looking around, she's looking in the air, and looking for answers that she definitely doesn't have, but then has a stupid little table and chair conversation about tacos and tuna when she should be talking about meat and potatoes policies about what's going to take this country out of the mess that we're in. But unfortunately, I think her intentions are bringing us into a mess that we can't get out of, that they can have martial law, they can control all of what you've said, and bottom line is that we're just going to be like bees, except we're going to be making money, and we're going to be used and extorted, and we're going to be just like a little hive of bees. The bees that make us honey, we're going to be the bees that make them money. And you want me to tell you something? Nobody's going to want to try hard. Everybody's going to want to give up, and this place is going to turn into a madhouse. And I can tell you right now, you can see the scripture on the wall. You can see it. You can see how things are declining. We've got a commercial real estate market that's ready to fail. Nobody talks about that. It's a wonder they didn't talk about how good the hamburgers and hot dogs were over the open flames in the Ukraine. You know what I mean? This is how crazy things are. I'm sick and tired of people listening to this type of cockamamie crap and believing it, and their lives are in jeopardy, and they don't know it.
Dan, you're dead on. You're on fire. Dan, you're on fire. Look, again, I go back to my opening monologue. Starting last night, because this is when it was all leaked, now it's been confirmed. This is her policy proposal, or the centerpiece of her policy agenda. Her numbers now are going to crater. See, they should have kept her in the basement. Don't do that stupid video with Waltz. Don't open your mouth. Don't say anything. Don't make any policy proposals whatsoever. Just shut up. That's what they should have done with her. But now it's too late. I got this text from someone, an economist, very well respected, wants to stay anonymous. Listen now, all of you. You need to hear this. Kamala Harris's first policy proposal, these draconian price controls, mirrors. Remember her father from Jamaica? Remember, he was a communist. He was a Marxist economics professor. Well, he also worked in the Marxist government in Jamaica in the 1970s. So he has a history of this. Kamala Harris's first policy proposal mirrors one her father implemented in 1970s Jamaica. Price controls on food. As a Marxist economist advising the government, her father's policies led to widespread starvation and suffering. Venezuela tried the exact same thing in 2013. This was under Chavez, Hugo Chavez. Same result, devastation. Now, Lenin and Stalin tried price controls. It led to a massive famine. Jamaica tried it. It led to a massive famine. Venezuela tried it. It led to a massive famine. China tried it. It led to a massive famine. Romania tried, I could go on. I could give you country after country. Cuba tried it. They went hungry. They went really hungry, and they had to stop. She is now going to make this country starve. It is one of the most insane, lunatic, radical, Marxist proposals you could ever come up with. And this is her economic centerpiece. Picking Tim Walz, and now this. I'm telling you, if I'm Trump and I know he's going to do this, I jump all over this. So, you want to talk about this election? The stakes couldn't be higher? We lose this election, and I'm telling you, you're going to see people starving in the United States. We're going to have empty grocery stores. We're going to have food shortages. Ay, ay, ay. Ay, ay, ay. Vote in November like your life depends on it. Because it does. 9:48 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Look, I'm sorry, but I got to say this. What a maroon. What a maroon. I can't believe this woman is that dumb. Like, that you would propose this? National price controls on food and grocery stores? I'm telling you, people like AOC and Bernie are advising her. They think this is genius. She just lost the election. Trump is going to eat her alive over this proposal. 617-266-6868. Bobby in Saugus. Thanks for holding, Bobby, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Bobby?
Good, very good. I want to thank you for your service to our country. You really helped me keep my sanity, buddy.
Thank you, Bobby. Well, listen, I'm looking forward to the Kamala diet. I don't know about you, Bobby. I could lose about 60 to 80 pounds. So she's going to help me. My type 2 diabetes will be cured under Kamala. We just don't eat.
Program. Thank you, Kamala. I called you earlier, and I'm really concerned. There's rumors going around that Trump is going to do a year in jail at Rikers Island, and that worries me, especially if the Secret Service isn't there to protect them. Not that they're going to do very much, but I see a real danger there. What do you think?
I got a big fear about that, Bobby. To be brutally honest with you, I think this guy's crazy enough, this Judge Juan Merchan. He's radical enough. He's reckless enough. He's obviously in the pocket of the Biden regime. And again, for them to come out, and I answered your question, I promise, Bobby. For them to come out, I told you, I said there's something wrong. She went with the most radical vice presidential pick imaginable. We now have two Marxists, communists, socialists, whatever you want to call them, on the ticket, 1, 2. You're not playing a win fair and square. It's obvious in a free and fair election, you're going to get destroyed. Now you come out with national price controls? Something that look it up. In the 1970s, that's what the Soviets implemented. Okay, it's what Venezuela did. It's what her father in Jamaica did. The point is, it has been so destructive. It has so failed. It has been so catastrophic and devastating. You're crazy. You're a hardcore communist. You're a hardcore leftist. So it's obvious that what they want to do now is they're going to try to steal the election, and they're telling us the hammer and sickle is coming. The revolution is coming. And to do that, you've got to eliminate Trump. And that's either by assassination or by putting him behind bars. And I think what their play is this, that they want to put him behind bars, and Mershon will do that, either house arrest or actual prison, as you put it, Rikers Island, and that they hope will trigger violence by his supporters that will take to the streets. We're going to loot or riot or get angry or whatever. And they can justify that to brand us all as terrorists, declare martial law, and effectively install Kamala in power. And so we've got to be very careful that if we do go to the streets and protest, and I think we should, by the millions and millions and millions, that we do it very peacefully. And I think ultimately, Bobby, if they do put Trump behind bars, it's going to blow up in their face. Everything they've done to him has made him more popular. Putting him behind bars would be an act of such naked political persecution, an act of such naked authoritarianism. I mean, really, of a dictatorship. Remember now, it's his first offense, nonviolent crime, and we're talking about falsifying business records in which there was no victim. There was no victim. Okay, even if you assume everything, I think it was a garbage case, but if you assume that everything that, let's say you assume the whole thing, you believe in the indictment, you believe in the conviction, you say, I agree with Alvin Bragg 1,000%. It's still his first offense, it's nonviolent, and nobody was defrauded. There was no victim. There's no way in hell you can justify putting him behind bars. It's impossible. It'll be such naked persecution and such naked lawfare that I think the country is going to rebel. And I don't mean rebel as in, pick up a pitchfork. I think they're going to say, no, we're going to vote for him, and that's it. That's it. We're just going to vote for him, and he's going to win in November, and then he's going to pardon himself, and this thing is over. So, Bobby, we got to stay very, very cool, very calm. But if he stays cool and calm, we're going to win. So if Mershon wants to be insane enough to put this guy behind bars, and by the way, at that point, Bobby, I'm telling you, you lock up the leading presidential candidate 2 months before an election on these garbage charges, the UN is going to condemn us. You know how we do it to other countries? Other countries are going to condemn us. We may even have sanctions. I'm not kidding. They're going to impose sanctions on us because this is clearly a violation of human rights and democracy. So if the left wants to go there, let them go there. I think it's going to lead to the ultimate backlash. Final word to you, Bobby.
No, the forces of evil have gone so far. They're not going to stop at being fearful of the UN or anybody else. I think they're going to jail them. I hope they don't, but I think they will.
I wish I could disagree with you, but I can't. In good conscience, I can't. I think now they're frightened enough, they're desperate enough, they're crazy and reckless enough that they're going to do it. And I think they have no idea that they're reaping the whirlwind. They have no idea. If you think Trump is popular now, with all these bogus indictments and all the lawfare, you wait till they actually put him behind bars. The country is going to be shocked and stunned. Stunned. And I think the blowback is going to be furious. Furious. So, okay. If they, remember, what's sauce for the goose is sauce for the gander. So when Trump wins in November, we're going to remember everything. And we're going to treat them exactly the way they treated us. So if the Dems want to go down that road, let's go down that road. Okay. I wish I had another hour. I wish I had another hour. Okay. Kamala's giving her big speech today. There's going to be immense reaction to it. We'll cover it on Monday, I promise. I gotta go. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.